Hello, everyone. Welcome back. The last few episodes, I've done different traits and personalities of moms who can't love, working off of the book by Dr. Susan Forward. And today we have the last kind of trait, personality, toxicity of a mom. Moms Who Can't Love, which is the book that I'm been researching and just kind of pulling some things from, because it's so important to know why your moms may act a certain way, and kind of recognize some of these traits and see if there's something that we can help work around with, or is it just something that we're going to have to close the door and go no contact and say, love you, but you can't be in my life. And that is going to be today's episode. So I'm going to do a trigger warning. This episode is about moms who are neglectful and dangerous. So this is like the worst kind of scenario of a mom who can't love her children. And so I do want to be cautious before I start talking about this, to let people know, my listeners, that if you're in this kind of situation and this is a really delicate, it's still very fresh for you and it's something you're still working through, just struggling with, and you're afraid that if you listen to this, it might trigger you into something that, you just don't want to go there right now. Perfectly okay. And you can feel free to skip this episode. The next couple of times, I'm going to be doing some techniques and tools that you can use to help yourself through these relationships. And so we're going to dive a little bit deeper into, like, what do you do now that you know you have this kind of a mom? What are some of the things that we can do to help ourselves? So, as I've always said before, you can't help them all the time. Actually, you can't help them. You can suggest things, but they have to want to help themselves. And so the only thing you can do is change you. Change the way you react to things, change the way you respond, change the habits that you have grown to think are normal and you realize they're not, and just kind of keep the ball moving forward in that direction, to realize that, there's really nothing you can do sometimes to fix that relationship with your mom, but you can certainly help yourself so that you don't continue that whole trajectory with your family and then have the excuse of, well, we've always been like this, so this is just how we are. And you just accept that, even though you're miserable in it. So I'm just going to talk about the worst case scenario of a mom, which even in that, like, there was some things I was reading and I was like, my mom did some of those things too, which we'll get into. But I will just say this: some moms were not meant to be moms. There, I said it. I know God always has a plan, and we can still build on a life that has started out unfair. But honestly, I can't help but feel huge compassion for children that were born into families where this kind of mom exists. So, Mothers Who Can't Love by Dr. Susan Forward is a book that I've been reading and just really researching, because I want to bring you guys really good information too. And I think, knowledge is power. I think we also have to go to prayer and see, like, what direction God wants us to go in. But I don't think we should just sit in being negligent and trying to change some things that we know are not healthy or right with what's going on in our life or the way we've been raised. I think that we should always question and always search out better ways to be the healthiest version of ourselves that we can. So upon reading this book, I've been kind of going through in different episodes, like, different types of moms. And then we hit upon this last one where it was the neglectful or dangerous mother. And I will say these moms are Well, Dr. Susan Forward describes these moms as so disturbed that they neglect their daughter's basic emotional needs and sometimes their physical ones. This is extreme. Like, these are moms that really don't have an emotional connection to their children. We're going to explore and describe how these moms are, and what you as the daughter must do to protect yourself, and absolutely go no contact with them. I mean, if somebody is that toxic to you on the daily, and you're an adult woman now and you're just like, I don't know what to do with this woman, you need to just separate yourself from her. I'm just going to point blank and say that, because I personally think this kind of a mom will not change, and doesn't have the capacity to really even care about you as a child, because there's something in her that has happened that she doesn't have that emotional connection. I believe there are women that have had children that just have no emotional connection to their child at all. And that's an illness in them. It has nothing to do with you. So let me just be really clear on that. Like, you are not tied to her in that way, but the things that she has done to you has definitely connected you. And so it's time to kind of unwind those things and find out who you can be as this person walking in this world that has grown up with a mom who just emotionally or physically has just been abusive to you. So this is the last episode in this series that I've been describing the different types of moms, and of course, save the worst for last. Ay, ay, ay. I can honestly say that even in my mom's worst moments, at least she threw me a bone every once in a while, like a hug, a kind word, although that was kind of few and far in between. There were moments where she would be very loving and caring, and it was shocking to us. We're like, what do you want? Because that's not how you act. And so we kind of knew like something was up if she was doing that, but we craved it. So we took it. She gave us a roof over our heads and food to eat, even if I had to cook it for my sister and I many nights. There was always a provision given. So she cared enough she tried her best, right? She cared enough to be like, these are the basic needs that my kids have. I think I'll be a good mom if I do that. The kind of mom that I'm describing is a mom that doesn't even care if those basic needs are met. This kind of mom is beyond repair, in my opinion. And it's funny because if you look back on all these toxic moms, they all have similar descriptions on how they act. So they make you feel unwanted. They say things like, I wish you were never born. They ignore you, or they're distant and cold, and they don't care about your needs. In most cases, if we look back, and we should look back, these moms were severely traumatized as children themselves. So don't get me wrong, this doesn't give them carte blanche to be cruel to their own children, but it does give us some information. It gives you a map to know, okay, this is where it started. This is probably why they couldn't grow emotionally as an adult to even care for somebody else. This is where my mom was the same. My mom was severely traumatized as a child. I think I've discussed that before. She was taken away from her own mom at 9, raised by a very cruel father. My grandfather was a very, very mean man, had 2 other sons, and she became basically the mother and the wife for this family. I don't even know how this happened, but he got custody of all the kids. This is in the 30s. 1930, like craziness. I think I've told this story before. He had people lie in court to say my grandmother was an alcoholic and an unfit mother. I never saw that when I was growing up with her. I never saw her really drinking. So if that was true back then, I don't know. I don't know the whole story. No one wanted to talk about it. And so my mom just was taken with her brothers and became the wife, the mom, like had to take care of the household, got beaten on the daily. Witnesses told me this, people that knew her way back then. And so, yeah, when you start off like that, it does something to your brain chemistry, and you kind of disassociate, and there isn't a lot of love to give when you haven't received a lot of love. My mom would often tell us, I wished I'd never had you kids, then I could have opened my own beauty shop. My mom was a hairdresser. And then she would tell us, I wouldn't have all this responsibility of you guys. You're so difficult. And it was like an escape for her to dream of a different life, because life as a single mom was too much for her. But that broke our hearts because we felt like we were a burden to our mom. So this was in the worst case days, like when she was in those depressive moods, she would strike out at us. My life is a mess because of you guys. And this is what a neglectful mom will do, to just live in this fantasy world of what was my life like before I had children. But what I will say is my mom didn't do that on the daily. I mean, it was kind of often, if I'm being honest. But I think super neglectful moms are ones that, are not going to take care of your basic needs. They don't care if you have food in the fridge. They're going to go out and eat for themselves, and you have to figure it out. They're not giving you instructions on how to be an adult, on how to take care of yourself even. You have to figure that out. They probably will beat you because they're rageful, and so they'd rather just hit you than talk to you. It's an extreme kind of mom, and so I would say my mom had tendencies, but she wasn't like that 24/7. In the book that Dr. Forward wrote, she talks about how social pressure makes these women have children. I think that was really true for sure in the 50s and 60s. It was just like a given, but I see that even now, like it's just kind of assumed that if you're a woman, you're going to have a family and children. And honestly, I have some friends that never had kids, and I respect that, because if you feel like you're not going to be a good mom, please don't have children. Like, it's not a requirement as a woman to give birth. And there's a whole thing, with that. Like, we could go deep into the whys of that, but I think it's smart. I think if you're just really not that kind of like, you don't have that kind of feeling about kids, please don't just have them because someone's telling you you have to, or you get married and you feel like that's the norm, is the next step is having a child. Don't do that if you feel like you're not up for it, because it is the hardest job. I hate when women, and I used to do this, I hate when women say, I'm just a mom. Just a mom, just raising these kids. I'm like, you're raising the future. And that's important. And you're not just a mom. Being a mom is the hardest thing. You could be a CEO. If you're a CEO, you can delve out that workload to other people. If you're a mom, you got to do that all on your own. You have to make sure that what you're doing, even if you're leaving them with a babysitter, you got to make sure that that babysitter's on point, right? Because this is your precious cargo. Being a mom is the most important thing in the whole world, because we're raising the future. We're raising up either kids that are going to grow up to be awful human beings that are going to hurt other people, or you're going to raise them up to be the most compassionate, amazing, smartest, like maybe inventors, maybe the next president, maybe, whatever it is, like the best dancer, like who knows, but you are the one helping to create that with this child who has a spirit all their own, and they're going to grow up to be whatever they want to be. You encourage that. But along the way, there are so many things. There is no roadmap. If you read all the parenting books and do all the things that your friends tell you, it's still not going to work out the way you think it's going to work out. There are so many things that happen along the way where, for me, and not having a mom growing up, I was like, what the heck is this? What do I do with this now? Just these different things they went through as teens, different things they went through. Junior high is a whole nother thing. And then like college years. Parenting is hard. So if you're someone who is just like, I'm not sure if I want to have children, go with that feeling. It's totally okay. I would rather see that than someone have a child and grow up to be this kind of neglectful, dangerous mom. Okay, off my soapbox. So, the kind of mom that we're describing today is they just have no interest in their children's lives, and they'll ultimately just let the kids raise themselves. They don't have the emotional time to teach them any skills whatsoever. And there are no boundaries and no limits. And so the kids do raise themselves. That happened often in our house too, when my mom, she had to work, obviously, but she also wanted to go out after she went to work because, she needed a break from us, apparently, even though we weren't home all day. And so we learned how to just fend for ourselves. We pretty much raised ourselves. Aside from, she gave us the comfort. We had a warm house to come home to. We had food in the fridge, but she taught us how she was very clean freak, a little OCD. So there were moments of that kind of stuff, but it wasn't done with love. It was just like this structured, this is the way you fold a towel, and you better do it this way or I'm going to rip it apart and you have to do it again. And so we had more of a training that way. A very neglectful mom will not even show you how to fold a towel. She's not going to show you how to put a dish away. She doesn't care. She's just like, I had these children. I did my part. I'm done. So in the most dire circumstances, you could have a mom who is also doing drugs, drinking excessively, or having sex in front of the children. These kids are to ignore all of that and fend for themselves. On the flip side of this kind of toxic mom, there are moms who are extremely violent and they take all their frustrations out on their children and will blame the children for what is going on in their life. So if they lose a job, it's the kid's fault. If they, lose a relationship with whoever, the next guy that comes into their life, or in a marriage, they're going to blame the kids. It's all your fault. If you weren't here, I could have paid more attention. Like everything is someone else's fault, but usually the child's. They will beat the child because of that, because their rage is out of control. And so they're going to take it out on the child. They put their kids in dangerous situations and they ignore the cries of the child if the child needs help. This one is really tough because I've heard extreme cases where abuse was happening and I've had women say, my mom just walked right by, saw it happening, walked right by like it wasn't happening. Or I went to my mom and she said I was lying. She knew it was the truth, but she was like, nope, that didn't happen. That's the most dangerous kind of mom I can think of, because if you're not going to protect your child in an extreme situation, there's something extremely wrong and you need to run away from that woman as soon as you can. If you witness this kind of parenting, and I use the word parenting loosely, please call authorities. Don't second guess. Like, is that what I saw? I'm not really sure. You know what you saw. If you see something going on and you're an adult, please help this child. Especially sometimes people lose it in public. They forget where they are, and these moms just are extremely cruel. I would say something. I would either go up to them and be like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Need a breather? Or just call the police. If you are living in an apartment, I know many times in our apartment buildings, the neighbors would say, I can hear your mom screaming at you. Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, we're fine. I didn't know what to say. That's going to be a common response. Don't ask the child. They're going to protect their parents. If you hear beatings, if you hear screamings, call the authorities because it needs to stop. And if you are a woman that's gone through this kind of parenting, can I just say I am so very sorry that you had to be raised that way. You didn't deserve that, and that is not the kind of parenting that you should have had growing up. So this is extreme parenting, and it's worth noting because more often than not, we know someone who's been through this kind of parenting, and they have great shame around it. There's nothing that you need to be ashamed of. You didn't do anything wrong. Your mom is ill and she's not well, and she does not need to be around you if she's still alive. If she's passed, I hope that you can get to a place where you can kind of unwind some of that hurt and confusion and just all the things surrounding that, and know that you can name those things and then forgive those things for yourself. You're never going to get a forgiveness from her. Most of us don't with our moms. We just never get that kind of like, I'm so sorry, I meant to do better, blah, blah, blah. It's just, they can't. So we have to get to a place of forgiveness to release all of the built up stuff that's in us so that we don't repeat the same kind of things to our families. If you have gone through something extreme like this, I really, really recommend getting intense therapy. Like, you're not going to need a coach at this point. You're going to need intense therapy. And I would say with someone who is skilled in this kind of area, so that they can help you unwind a lot of the things that physically and mentally have gone on in your life. Those feelings of unworthiness have to leave your body. Like, you cannot go on feeling that way and then thinking that you can just live your life that way and you'll be fine. It's like, you won't. It'll come out in different areas. Understanding that this type of mom was severely traumatized herself as a child and is now trying to strike out to you to feel that release of rage, that's on her. That's not you. So remember that. You can 100% go no contact with your mom if she's still around and she's still doing this kind of behavior. You do not deserve this kind of neglect anymore. Let me be clear on that. You do not. You need to walk away, block your phone. I don't know what you need to do, but do not let this woman back in your life if she's still doing these kind of things to you. And especially, you don't want your kids to see that. Make sure that you've gone on a healing journey before you enter into a relationship or parenthood yourself. And I'm speaking to the young girls who aren't maybe married or have kids yet. If you're already a wife and or a parent, then again, I'm going to urge you, please seek out professional help that is skilled in this. A lot of times people go, well, I went to a therapist and I don't know, they didn't really help. Okay, go to another one. Like, go to one that's really going to help you, because this is an intense kind of situation, and also it's specific. So you need to make sure that the person that you're talking to really knows about this kind of abuse. It's a specific kind of thing. So don't just go to a regular therapist that doesn't really have training in some of these family issues. Please know that we had no kind of control over what kind of mom we were given. And as adults, we do have control over who we choose to let into our life and what we choose to see or witness, that kind of thing. So make sure that you're in a safe place in your children's life now. Make sure that you are the safe place, that you are in a good place yourself so that you can pour out good things to your kids. As we move on to other episodes, we'll go into more specific like beliefs and truths, and then some more of the journey of healing and some tools and things that we can do to really start working towards like a healthier place because of growing up with these moms. Like, we need that help. So this will be something for the woman that has done some work already and is just looking for, some more affirmations, more kind of tools in her toolbox to like help with these kind of situations if your mom is still alive. But again, if your mom is this kind of mom, this kind of neglectful, abusive mom, you are going to need some intense help. So it's going to be more than just listening to this podcast, but this podcast can be kind of a format for you, kind of like an accompaniment to the therapy that you can get so that you can be the healthiest and happiest version of yourself and the way God has planned it for you all along. So let me be clear on this. We didn't always start off with the right kind of moms, but I still believe God takes us on a journey to teach us, to help us, to let us share with others. And we can still make something beautiful out of something that is completely a mess, right? And so don't look at your past as something that is going to affect your future where you can never be happy and you're always going to be messed up because look where I came from. Don't live with that kind of mindset. It is very possible to grow up in this hard situation with our mothers and then become an adult and realize that there is still more things that I can become and also choose to do better and be able to help others through my story once I'm on a healing journey to let them know, listen, we go through these hard things, but that's not the end of our story. That is not where God wants to leave you. He has more. So we don't reject or forget where we've come from, but we can certainly learn from it. We can grow from it. We can have compassion on it, and we can move to another level to be the healthiest versions of the woman that we want to be. And if you choose to be a mother, you're going to be a better mother in spite of where you've come from. So that is all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And until next time, I'll see you later, peeps.